Right, so here we are on a little bit of a side mission. We are putting some branding on the truck. And yeah, I'm doing it myself. Cheaped out, didn't want to spend $3,200 to get a full wrap, so we bought some cheap vinyl. And holy cow, what a difficult task, man. Took me an afternoon to get it done, what little bit I had. Obviously there's a learning curve, and I'm going to talk about it here in a minute, but I think it turned out okay, good enough for what it is, you know. And it's all about, for me, testing to see if it's worth getting a wrap professionally later, right? I knew it wasn't going to be a perfect end result, but I'm happy with how it turned out. I think it's definitely good enough for how much I'm going to actually be using this truck this year, and it'll let me know if going all out on branding is worth it or not, right? But here I am in the video here in a second to talk a little more about it. Alright, so there's that, and yeah, there's a few little imperfections in just the paint. You can see little bumps and chips and stuff, but here's the deal. The plastic, so the actual transfer tape on this is so thick, it's not malleable like you would want. And I don't know if that's just a cheap material or something, but it's so thick. I literally, visually, it's perfectly smooth, and then you pull it off and you find little things like that. And like I say, that could just be getting a cheaper material. I mean, because this is not expensive, the stuff that we got, but this side turned out way better. You can see here, the bottom, okay? This side turned out infinitely better than my first side. I'm going to redo this one because I cannot get it to sit in that corner for the life of me, you know. I'm getting in there and I'm pushing as much air out as I can, and then it kind of bubbles and ripples. So I'm gonna have to redo this side. And then I cut it wrong. I left so in the design I left a lot of extra green so that I could tuck it in, and then when I actually laid it out, I laid it out too far up and just wasn't paying attention. So that's a learning lesson. And then we can see the hood one looks pretty darn good, right? So this actually turned out a lot better. It did. Again, it does have those little weird imperfections. I don't know if that's coming up on camera, but it's the same thing. It's like it's such a big space that paper, the transfer paper, doesn't really flex. It's so thick, and so I can't see. What I'm looking at visually is smooth, and then I start to pull it off, and it's ended up that the vinyl itself has folded up. And now obviously that's, again, 99% of that imperfection is going to be my inexperience and lack of knowledge and the learning curve. I mean, this is literally the first time I've ever done this. Okay, so I think for that, and for the $600 I've paid for all these vinyls, I feel totally fine with that. And I'm not going to keep it like this forever. This is just a temporary, like, you know, trying to see how lettering works. And if this year goes well, I'm going to get the whole thing wrapped, okay? I just didn't want to spend $3,200. That was the quote I got to wrap this. I didn't want to spend $3,200, so I spent $650, and I was going to do it myself. And that's the result, right? Like, again, I totally, if that's all the defects I get, I'm totally fine with it. The real big issue that I have is coming up. I got giant ones for the door. So I'm not going to film it. I'm going to really take my time and try to get it right. You know, I already went and debadged it earlier. The The doors where it's going to be like I either screw it up majorly or I figured out. I did those last for a reason because they're huge, but I'm going to do that off camera and I'll just show you when I get back. Alright, so here's a problem with this decal thing is it comes kind of pre-wrinkled too. And like I say, this paper here is so thick and stiff that when you're trying to smooth out these imperfections, they really just don't come, and like it's already pre-pinched. Hopefully you can see that on camera. But you know, I'm ended up with a lot of these little spots where it won't hug the corners because that paper is so stiff, and then I get little pinches every once in a while right where these little fold marks are from the paper. Alright, so here we are with the whole page, right? And you can see here's these creases that I talk about, and this is just how it's shipped. It's hard to get, but this transfer tape part is wrinkled, and so the decal itself is wrinkled. And you can see this long strip here. Like, I'm supposed to be able to smooth it out, and I probably could if I was a much better installer, but as just some dude who just is doing something on a whim, like you can see, like pushing it out, it just kind of it cinches up the wrinkle. So here we are with the finished result, and yeah, I used the wrong setting, so I have to do voiceover here because I'm talking during this whole video, but there's a setting on my camera that doesn't record audio for some reason. Nice. But yeah, here it is, all cleaned up, looking good. There is a video on here of me actually fixing this truck over the winter. I had an AC leak, a no heat kind of issue, and overheating, and I fixed all those issues, and it's been doing great so far. I do love how this looks. There are definitely some imperfections, especially on the bigger ones, and I attribute that to, you know, getting some cheaper vinyl, but also just me not knowing exactly what I'm doing and not being a vinyl installer. Maybe someone with a little bit more knowledge can tell me if the things I mentioned before were, you know, accurate, like, or if is it just 100%. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm totally open to that being a possibility, but I got it done. The vinyl's still on there many months later, and the truck looks great. I love it, and I love running this truck. It's been a fantastic truck so far this season. You got some stuff coming out later with it. Again, I've been loving just using this truck with the ramp so far. It kinda makes me like the ramp rack a little bit more, but this truck has been fantastic this year. Having AC in it again has been amazing, and I love it so much that I'm actually going to sell it. You know, I made that joke earlier to my wife, and she was so confused because I genuinely mean it when I say I love running this truck this year. And the reason I think I'm going to sell it later is because while it's still running, I can get a little bit of money out of it, and I think I want to get a proper landscape truck with the dovetail bed next year. And basically the way that I'm thinking about doing that is trading in both trucks, and just going with like an F350 or a 3500 Chevy and getting a proper custom landscape bed with a dovetail, and just going all out like that, getting a full wrap on it immediately, because again, I love the smaller footprint. With a fully built F350 3500 setup, I could put my spray tank on there, a mower, I could haul mulch, I could do literally everything out of one truck if I do it right and if I plan it right, and that's how much I love running this smaller Ram. It's that convenient and it's that nice. And then I think about things like, it's this great with a 48-inch walk behind. Imagine if I could throw a 60-inch on there. So that's kind of the hope and plan, maybe. But I also put my racks on here. I do have racks added, not in this video, but I repainted my rails here, and check that out. That's a spray can paint job on these rails. That turned out amazing. But yeah, I've got my racks on there now, not in this video, but they're on there. Been running it, loving the truck, and you're gonna see a lot of that in the vlog later. And yeah, man, thanks for hanging out and watching this little side quest, I guess, right? Subscribe and all that good stuff. Thanks.